Hey warriors, and welcome to Splinty Roxy episode 5. Today's episode is entitled MS, Representation, Treatments and Diagnosis. Today I'm joined by an amazing MS warrior named Crystal Bedoya. I just want to drop a quick disclaimer before this episode starts. Today's episode is not a substitute for medical advice. Today's episode is just two MS warriors talking about all things MS and how it's affected them in their life. Please, if you want to change your medical routine, implement new treatments, exercises, or anything else, please contact your medical provider before doing so. And please unwind, kick back, and join us with a cup of tea for spilling tea with Roxy. Hey warriors, and welcome to Spilling Tea with Roxy episode 5. Today I have an amazing MS warrior named Crystal Bedoya, who is an MS activist and blogger and journalist residing in Arizona. Please welcome Crystal. Hi!
Hi everyone! Hi!
I'm so excited to have you here today. We've been speaking for ages, and it's just about time that you're on Spilling Tea with Roxy, because you are an amazing woman that I follow daily for inspiration and just for good content. I will put Crystal's Instagram below so you guys can give her a follow, because I'm telling you, it's definitely absolutely worth it. She has amazing content. Say hello to Crystal World. Hi, Crystal.
Hi world! Thank you so much. You're so sweet too. I really appreciate that. Like honestly, I see social media as a way for me to connect with people. And throughout my journey with multiple sclerosis, I've always felt alone. So the fact that I started sharing my journey and I have been able to connect with a lot of people like Roxy, it has been such a blessing, especially this year.
Absolutely. This year in the COVID times on lockdown, I've met so many amazing warriors. It's like a bit of it's been a hard time, but also in the same way, it's been a bit of a blessing, because I don't think I would have had time to connect with people the way I have this
Oh,
year.
definitely. I had actually never really opened up about my diagnosis to basically the world is essentially how I see it with social media. So the fact that I started doing that during the start of the pandemic and during, since we're still in it, it's been quite an experience. And the fact that I've gotten to know so many people from so many different places around the world, like Roxy in London, compared to me, a small town girl from Arizona who like didn't know anyone who had MS. And it's such a cool feeling to know that I have people that get me.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful to connect, and it's amazing that we can do it worldwide. And it's been an amazing journey to be able to
Definitely.
connect with you and others. I know that the warriors listening will want to know about your diagnosis, and please let us know when you was diagnosed, how you was diagnosed, and what that meant for you as a person.
So initially what kind of started as what is happening to me, you know, in the beginning, because initially my parents and I, my entire family, we had never heard about MS. It was a foreign term, like we had never heard of it. No one in our family has it. And so the way that it started was when my sister and I would walk to school, I started feeling numbness and tingling on my entire right side of my body. And so I also started feeling like weakness. So I started dragging my leg and I couldn't lift my right arm anymore. And so that kind of freaked us out, you know, like, and I thought it was just I like left my leg or something and then I just didn't move it or anything, right? Because that normally happens when you don't move your leg, it goes numb. And so we went to the hospital, the local hospital, since there's only one close to here, like 30 minutes away. And they told me that it was bacteria in the brain. And so we thought, okay, cool. Like, I guess that's the problem, right? It's been solved. Well, it started happening again and again and again. And it wasn't until they flew me to a hospital 3 hours away from here. And that is where I met an incredible doctor who unfortunately moved away, but he was my doctor for quite some time. He was the one that diagnosed me with multiple sclerosis at the age of 11.
Wow.
And yeah, it was
Really
a
young.
trip. Yeah, I was very little. I mean, and even thinking about it now too, I have read a lot of articles about how pediatric MS can also affect puberty and all of that. And to me, I didn't really think about that at the time. And even throughout the years, like, I really don't know how it affected me until now. I'm like thinking back, maybe it was my MS doing certain things affecting my body that I thought was supposed to be normal, but maybe it wasn't. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was when I was 11 when I was diagnosed. I started medication, which my first one was Copaxone, which were the injections, and that was pretty scary. It was quite an experience having my mom trying to help me out. And since both of us shake, so we have really bad tremors. Hers, because of my grandparents, that was passed down to her. Me, because of my MS and hereditary. So it was just like a lot of tremors going on, and me trying to inject myself. It was crazy. It would make her so nervous. But yeah, so I started with Copaxone. Unfortunately, it didn't work. And by the age of 13, that's when I had my worst relapse to date. I became paralyzed completely. I couldn't
Oh,
walk. I couldn't go to the restroom on my own. One of my eyes, I'm pretty positive that's when I first experienced optic neuritis. I couldn't see out of one of my eyes, and um, my eye kept moving on its own. I don't know if that
yeah.
might be connected to optic neuritis, but I couldn't see out of it. Um, and I couldn't swallow properly. It was like just I this is such a crude way of describing it, but I literally became a potato. Like I couldn't do anything on my own. And so that's when they flew me back to that hospital 3 hours away. And I was in the hospital for 3 months, basically relearning how to do everything all over again. And thankfully, I was able to bounce back. And that's when I started Tisabri. And I was on Tisabri for 9 years. And literally, it was the best medication that I've ever taken. And and yeah, I mean, kind of fast forward to now, I've tried different medications. I've been on Tecfidera, Gilenya, and now I'm on Ocrevus. And I'm hoping it works. I'm hoping it works. But yeah, I honestly, my MS journey has been a roller coaster of a ride. I've experienced so many symptoms, and things have just gotten a lot worse, especially this year with the pandemic and with stress and all of that kind of affecting my MS. But I'm hoping things slow down for me now that I'm on a new medication, and I I don't stress out as much. I'm trying not to, but honestly, it's such a hard thing to do, and being more patient with myself too, and being kinder to myself, because like I have gone through a lot of really bad emotional trauma with my MS, but
Yeah.
I always try to remain optimistic, that's for sure.
You're amazing because that's intense. I've had a very intense journey myself, but not at such a young age. I was 18, I wasn't 11. So to go through what you went through, and especially at the age of 13, to deal with being paralyzed and to be sitting in front of me now in the way you are, you should be very proud and very, very proud of yourself and what
Thank
you have
you.
achieved. Because that's not an easy feat, and it's definitely not an easy feat for a child to do. Do you know what I mean? And you're now an inspiration to other people, and you're like showing people that no matter how hard it gets, there's another side to this and there's always a way back if you put the work in, you believe, and you are doing that. You are living proof of that. So well done,
Thank
Christopher.
you.
I know
Honestly,
it's
the
hard.
one thing that I do want to mention is I I live in a very rural area, so it's like it's like a farming town. There's not a lot of resources available here. I am Mexican, I'm a Latina. It's a low income community. I mean, there were challenges, and thankfully, and also the fact that we were not knowledgeable about this disease, everything was so new. Like, I didn't have the same resources compared to certain people that have had MS and have been diagnosed. And I have learned how to be resilient. And up until recently, also, I have learned to be my best advocate, which is something that I constantly struggled with since I did deal with gaslighting throughout the years and from different doctors. But I think that's something very important to note, the fact that a lot of people might not have the same resources as others, and having to deal with such a monster of a disease as MS, like, that's something so important to bring up to people. Like, we all have different experiences and different journeys, but not all of us might have the same resources as others. But I'm thankful that I have had different opportunities and different ways that I've learned to deal with it. I'm not saying I'm a pro at it. I mean, it's been 16 years. I turned 27 in September, and I can't tell you that it's been easy, but I'm learning day by day to cope with it and kind of just to deal with it in a better way than I have had in the past, because I have made my mistakes. And I mean, honestly, who knows how to handle a chronic illness like a pro? Not
None
me.
of us. None
Yeah,
of us. We're all learning, and even the people that give us the drugs and make the drugs, they're still learning. There is no cure. We're all just trying to make coping mechanisms to live the best life we can. And
yeah,
having years behind you can help, because you go through the ups and downs, and having people to speak to definitely helps, because you get to discuss things. And there's a lot of things I've learned that I didn't know was MS at all
hmm
until
hmm
I started speaking to those people. Like, for years I'd had like alopecia and I was losing so much hair, and
hmm
every time I spoke to a doctor and was like, well, what is this, they would never ever say it was MS. They were like, no, that doesn't happen.
yeah,
And this year, the amount of people I've seen either post about it or speak about it,
hmm
and hair loss seems to be something that is quite regular in people that deal with MS.
yeah,
So
yeah,
being able to do that research that maybe they don't or they can't do through word of mouth, I think is very valuable. No, it doesn't tell us how to stop it, but it makes you feel a little bit more normal,
hmm
if that's the right word. Do you know what I
No,
mean?
no, I totally get you. Like, it makes you think like, okay, I'm not the only one dealing with this. Like, this isn't something that is just in my head. It could be linked to something, and the fact that you already linked it to that specific problem, okay, like, it's kind of like a sigh of relief, because I like to share the different symptoms or the different experiences that I deal with MS, because it helps me connect with others. And if it means that it gives that sigh of relief to other people, then it makes me really happy, because
Mm.
I didn't have that as a kid. Honestly, I was confused half of the time. Like, it was, it, like I said, it's been quite a journey.
There's not many kids that you come across that have MS. Obviously,
Mhm.
they do exist, but when it comes to societies and the people that put the information out there, it's only recently that I've seen children even included in that narrative. So to be so young, I didn't even know where to look as an adult, let alone as a child, to what to do and how to cope. Um, so for a child, I just think it's an intense journey to deal with, and it probably is. I don't know, it's traumatic as an adult. I can only imagine the trauma as a child. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that now that yourself and other people are kind of changing that narrative and letting people know that children deal with this, so that they can have groups and things in place for them, so they don't feel alone and they have a little
hmm
bit of a normality in life, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
Because the beauty of the internet is that, like we're doing right now, we can speak to each other from anywhere. and
Of course.
offer each other support. And that's quite a beautiful thing that
Hmm.
we've all been able to cultivate this year. Um, what are you grateful for with MS? Is there anything, and that's a weird thing to say, because some people are anti people saying that MS could have been a blessing, and some
Hmm.
people categorically believe that's a blessing. But I have things that I'm grateful for. It's made me look at myself differently, and just the way I treat myself health wise differently. And I've implemented a lot of things in my life that maybe I wouldn't have,
Hmm.
as weird as that may sound, with if I didn't have MS. So for you, is there anything that you're particularly grateful for in life?
For in terms of MS, I am grateful that it did kind of open my eyes to be more aware of my health. Even up until recently, with the stress of like past jobs that I've had and all of that, I always left my health like kind of in the back burner. So I wasn't really concerned with like taking my medications on time or like eating really healthy, being more active. And in the past, I was, but I feel like with the emotional roller coaster that comes with having a chronic illness, I feel like it's really challenging to always be on top of it. But even if you do contemplate it as something that has to be important in your life, that's when you really have to celebrate that victory. But to me, if it wasn't for the fact that I dealt with all of these relapses this year, I wouldn't have realized how serious I have to be taking care of myself when it comes to my MS. But also with the pandemic and having seen like all of the medical struggles that people have to deal with now, like we as a society, I feel like we need to learn to really value how important it is that we need to keep ourselves healthy and always contemplate the fact that like you will never truly be fully healthy. Like you'll always have to deal with like medical like woes or anything. Like I mean, you can always think that you'll be healthy until the fact that you get sick.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
I feel like people get really comfortable in that sense that, oh, like I'll never deal with that. Like I know also when it comes to me explaining MS to like my friends or like strangers, like they're always like, "What's MS?" Like, well, like I feel like they always see it as like, "Oh, I'm never gonna deal with that," but like you can never be too sure that you'll always be healthy. You know, like I feel like there's always like that assumption that like, well, I'll never deal with like a health condition until like I'm old or anything. And even then, like you never know when you might get sick. Like you might get sick like when you're 11 years old and you're like a little kid, you know,
Exactly.
like
It's like no
you
ageism, no sexism, no
exactly.
racism. It doesn't
No.
discriminate.
Yeah, it does not care. It will come for you, you know? Like it and I'm not taking it in a way to like scare people, you know, but
It will just come for you.
yeah, literally. But the thing is like we can never be too comfortable. And I feel like if we are just aware that we need to always be taking care of ourselves, like I feel like that's an important thing because I could have said, you know, like up until I was 11, I was taking care of myself. I was always getting vaccines. My mom was always taking me to the doctor. But I mean, that's just the way life decided to come at me. um,
Right?
but I am very grateful for everything that is in my life at the moment. I guess I could say that what I'm grateful for is my family, my community, my like honestly all of the opportunities that I've been given, all of the achievements that I've had despite my MS. That I mean, I did a post about this the other day, but something that I will forever be proud about and even through struggle and hardship, but the fact that I was able to go to college, get my bachelor's degree and like become a journalist, that's something that I will forever be proud of because I mean, to think about it now, years after I graduated, the fact that I was like juggling so much and also dealing with like my my infusion appointments for to Sabri, going to the doctor, getting blood work, like, and I was doing that all on my own in college when like I could have just blown it off and been like, whatever, I'm not gonna deal with that. Like I just want to like have the full college experience and not have
Yeah.
to deal with like medical anything. But I mean, I was pretty responsible in that sense. I was always on top of having my appointments done, going to the doctor, seeing him all the time, asking him any questions if I needed to. And I mean, I'm just proud of myself in that sense. Like
You've
I could have
cultivated a
given
lot.
up, like, but I didn't.
You didn't give up because you're not a quitter. It's clearly obvious. And to be honest, like, we know that's a lot. Anyone that just deals with MS just sitting at home knows it's a lot. Going to hospitals, getting
Oh
bloods,
yeah, for
monthly
sure.
infusions, then having deadlines and work. I didn't even finish university myself because I couldn't, because it was just too much. It was
It's
so, I was getting,
overwhelming. Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
I was doing fashion and styling and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
it was like lumber puncher one
Mhm.
weekend, drugs the other week, and it just got
Yeah.
too much, and depression sunk in, to be honest, and
Mhm.
I couldn't deal with it at all, so I had to take time out. So I've done 2 full years. I've just got a year to complete. So for anyone that does do that in this situation, I commend them, because
Yeah.
it's not easy for anyone that deals with nothing. So when you deal with that extra layer of stuff, just timing your life right is hard. Like,
Mhm.
you probably have a lecture at the same time you need to get an infusion. Like, it's
Oh,
so,
it was insanity, honestly, having to juggle between infusions, doctor's appointments, classes. I was interning at the time, so I was interning like at TV stations or like the local newspaper. I also worked, so I was working at the bookstore of the university. So it was a lot. I was telling you the truth. But I mean, despite it all, yes, I was stressed. Yes, I struggled a lot, but to me it was worth it. To me, it was worth the nights where I couldn't sleep because I would have to stay up to do essays or like have to do homework. And I mean, I'm not saying that I really like just stick to that. Like I did give myself the liberty of like going out with my friends and like having fun, because I didn't really want to like torment myself in that way. But I still can't believe I actually made it through. Shh, Pumbaa, be quiet. One second, let me kick out my dog. Pumbaa, be quiet. Nicholas Tandaloso.
he's so cute though.
I know, he's such an adorable little dog. Oh my God.
He's gonna be
But
the best MS coping mechanism is Pumbaa, surely.
I know, literally, he is my life. I love him so much. The way that I like ended up having him, I make it sound like I gave birth to him, but someone, a close family friend who we love and will love forever, she gave him to me when he was 7, and I've had him for 5 years. But I mean, throughout the time that she had him, like we would always see him, or she would like let us borrow him. But he is everything to me. Honestly, I treat him as if he was like literally my child, and he sees me as his mom too. Like he won't let me go anywhere without him. If I go to the bathroom, he has to sit outside of the door and make sure that no one comes in. Or if he doesn't feel like I'm doing okay or anything, like he comes in the bathroom and makes sure that I'm like okay. He is very overprotective. But he's helped me a lot, especially this year, honestly. Like I deal with depression too, so I being inside and being in lockdown or quarantine and not being able to go out, it has been really difficult for me. And I mean, it's been like this since March. I literally still have not gone anywhere. I mean, aside from like the regular having to go to doctor's visits or blood work done or the upcoming MRI. But yeah, like it's been really tough.
Like a therapy animal. I believe in therapy
Yeah,
animals. I think they're really good for healing and depression, and I think they know how we feel before we know how we feel. So
honestly.
sometimes you can just be sitting there and like probably going to tear up or whatever, and the animals, especially dogs, they just somehow just know and they just come over and
He's
it's like,
seen me, yeah, he's seen me cry, and when he sees me cry, he comes up to me and he starts like getting close to me or like licking my hand or something, and I'm like, how do you
so
know?
cute.
Yeah, it
So we're
honestly,
grateful for Pumbaa, aren't we?
yeah. I
Really?
am blessed to have him. I want him to live forever and ever. And if I end up like amounting to anything, I'm leaving everything to him. But he means the world to me, honestly. Yeah,
I love dogs so
me
much.
too. I'm not a big fan of cats, but for dogs, like I'm a sucker, you know.
Yeah.
They're just amazing.
Cats are cute, but like dogs are just where
Yeah,
it's at. They just are like
yeah.
full human beings.
Yeah, cats can be mean sometimes. Like we've had cats before, but they could be bullies, and I'm not a fan
They kind of just
personally.
like walk up and then look at you and just turn around and
Yeah,
walk
like
away.
they
You're
give you like major side eye, and I'm like, okay, I guess I won't say anything then. I don't know.
like,
I don't know. I'm not a fan. Dogs like are just easier.
so, through this pandemic and through MS, have you cultivated any particular coping mechanisms that you think are things that anyone else should implement in life?
Coping mechanisms. I mean, to me, I feel like my coping mechanism when I'm dealing with like anxiety or stress or anything like that has to do with MS, I guess, I mean, I don't even know if this could be like a good answer, but my family is very, very instrumental when it comes to me, like, I wouldn't say calming myself down, but just they keep me grounded. So I know that when it came to my depression and the anxiety, like I can go in really deep, dark, like spirals where like I just don't want to do anything. I don't want to talk to anyone. I like kind of close myself off instead of like, you know, I just keep to myself. And so I'm thankful that at the moment I am living with my parents because I had to leave my job that I had in the beginning of the year because of my MS relapses. But I'm thankful that I'm living with them right now and my siblings are here and honestly like they make life so much better. So like if I'm feeling sad or anything, like they come to me and they try to cheer me up even if it's like having just like having like a movie night or like cooking together, like going outside, going to the park, even though sometimes that gives me anxiety because not a lot of people wear masks like
Mm,
here in town, which that makes me really nervous. But um yeah, like just simple
good.
things, just being around them.
So you've got like a good support network. So for you, your biggest coping mechanism is cultivating a good support network, like you
Yeah,
do have with your family. I agree
definitely.
with you. I think that's beneficial because because depression and MS is high. It's
Hmm.
more people with MS have depression than any other disease,
Hmm.
and sometimes we can go like say, into a slump of like just basically want to stay in bed. Like I don't know if you get headaches, but I used to get really intense headaches,
Yeah.
uh, especially when I was going through the higher levels of depression. So I would
Hmm.
just sit there, lights off, cool over my head. I didn't want to listen to anything. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't
Same.
even sometimes even want to listen to music. It
Oh
gets
yeah,
really
I've
dark.
had and I love that you mentioned that because I never really realized that. I have that same like I guess like habit where like when I'm really in the bouts of my depression, like I don't listen to any music, and there's been times where like I go weeks or months where I don't ever listen to anything, and it's strange because like back when I was like a teenager, like I loved music. It was my way of like being able to feel free, being able to like feel happy. Like I tie my emotions a lot with music.